Hey guys, it's Audrey, and by popular demand, we are doing another Valorant themed style frame today, and this time we're doing Raze. I've been super excited about doing this one just because there's a lot of potential for some really cool textures and paint splatter type of things, and just some really good colors, so I'm excited to see what we come up with. So without further ado, let's get into Photoshop. So here we are in Photoshop, and I already kind of just threw in a bunch of textures and this kind of stuff, just like I usually start out with style framing. So we have our final Raze concept art here, and you can see I just added in a bunch of random textures and images. Again, I'm definitely not going to be using all of these, but I think through some trial and error, we're going to figure out which ones kind of blend well together. So the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of figure out sizing-wise how I kind of want to have her in the composition. I do love her stance and everything, like the way that she's positioned. So I think I might keep her like medium to small framing for now. And something else I'm going to do too, similar to last time, I'm going to pull up my 2D effects that I made, which are available in my store, and just kind of see like what effects I can kind of play with here that would be fitting for Raze. So I think this explosion wheel would be perfect, as well as even this unique sharp smoke looking stuff. So I'm going to select, copy and paste both of these individually into Photoshop as smart objects. I do kind of love like a big explosion behind her. I think that's kind of the most fitting thing for Raze. I think just having some kind of smoke element kind of interacting with her, as well as masking some of that out and having some of the smoke interweave with her a little bit would be really cool. So I'll kind of just keep those here for now. I'm not going to touch color quite yet, but I definitely want to just get the composition down and see what kind of textures and stuff could work and what won't. And I'm also going to use a few of these really awesome spray paint textures from Say So. Definitely go check these out in his store as well. And I'm going to use auto select so I can kind of pick and choose a little easier here which ones that I want. So I like these dripping paint textures a lot, and I think I like the concept of her kind of painting the town and everything too, and just kind of like tagging the streets and everything. So I think doing some of these longer sprays too will be really fitting. So now I'm going to put all of these in a folder and just kind of hide those for now and use those more as like an embellishment towards the end. So I definitely don't want that to interact or interfere with the composition right off the bat. So I definitely want to make sure that I can get her name and everything in there. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to type out Raze. And similar to before, I'm just going to kind of go through my list of fonts and just kind of see what works best. And I did download 2 different like graffiti type fonts or typefaces just to see if either of these could work. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to type out each individual letter and not have it super linear, just so I can kind of customize the way that the type is being locked up, if that makes sense. Just so it's not all in one line, and that's kind of how graffiti is. It's not based on a baseline or anything, and it's totally freeform. And this font is called Another Tag, which I'm actually liking a little bit more. I think this is pretty cool. I'm definitely going to play with like the masking and stuff of it as I keep designing and everything. And I think this is a pretty cool setup so far. I do like this background texture quite a bit just because it is pretty simple and it's purely just like a big spray and it's not too overwhelming. Could be a good base. This one will be a good like overlay texture, I think. Try and kind of darken this a little bit. Now I actually want this dark part on the top to be on the bottom, so I'm going to rotate this. I do like this texture quite a bit, but I think this is going to be more kind of a terrain map thing that I think would be more fitting for Brimstone. So I might actually save that for him. And also considering like Raze is definitely more grounded towards like a street style type of thing. Ripped paper is also a very good use case for that kind of style as well. So that can also kind of be a contender. So I'm going to hide a bunch of the graphics for now and just kind of focus on the type. I'm going to make a copy of my type here. I'm actually going to make a folder towards the bottom specifically for live working layers. That original Raze text layer can go in there just so I have it, just in case I need to like redo something or anything. And I'm going to make this Raze copy a smart object. And then I have this really awesome action. I can't remember where exactly I got it from. It might be youworkforthem.com, but it's a spray splatter effect. And when you hit play, it'll take you to this window with blur tools and stuff like that. And you can move around the actual like amount of spray, and you can dictate how much you want of it too. So I love this effect. There's not a ton of reasons to use it, so when I do get to use it, I'm like really pumped about it. But yeah, I want to kind of see like what I can do around here, around the top and the bottoms and everything, and just kind of make it look as if it was spray painted. And you can also add points or take away points as well. It's super versatile, which is awesome. So I think that's kind of cool. So all you need to do is just press OK, and then there it is. And for now, I am kind of sticking with this very grungy, concrete, almost looking texture, mostly because I haven't used anything like that yet. And I think considering the whole spray paint motif that we're kind of going with, that might be more fitting to have as a background. But next I'm going to add a gradient map. And similar to last time, I'm just going to kind of go through the really awesome gradient maps that I bought from Margarita Vox. And again, you can't really go wrong with any of these, but I think in terms of color, I do want to be smart about this. So I think in terms of color with Raze, definitely some sort of vibrant orange and maybe some yellow could be nice. So definitely something warm. And I think like maybe an accent of teal and something similar to like what's going on with her pants, and a little bit of her grenade could be cool. So let's see what our options are now. And we can kind of tailor it to however we see fit. That's pretty cool. Definitely feels very fiery, which I definitely like. I'd probably want to have kind of a teal color go with that though. So right now this is a very light blue acting as a highlight on her. And then the orange and yellows are kind of acting as midtones. So I do want to make sure that this highlight here, if I do end up using this, that it's enough of a highlight, like a very bright teal cyan color. I think that could be pretty cool. So I think we're kind of onto something with this one. I want to make sure that there's enough contrast, and I want to bring that out more with the blues and stuff too. And this is something where obviously we can kind of tailor any of the elements going on in the composition to kind of be more of that blue color if we want. So a good way to kind of cheat and kind of think about using gradient maps is just kind of seeing what colors affect what. So this is kind of interesting. I do kind of like how the fuzziness of the spray painted Raze typography is kind of bleeding into that smoke, like the yellow smoke going on down here. I want to see if the color could be better though. So let's see if there's another opportunity to have some more of that, like the blue teal color. I do think she gets kind of lost in the composition though, so we're going to fix that. So for example, with the background right now, I'm going to kind of tone down the amount of texture going on. And if I can do that with just bringing it down with some contrast with using a curves adjustment, that would be nice. So I kind of like what's going on up here in this orange area and definitely want the explosions and stuff, but I think the graininess going on in the background is a little too much everywhere. So I'm going to mask some of this away using a really grainy brush, and I'm going to see what it looks like to maybe have another one of these 2D effect shapes to be maybe like an outline over some of this stuff too, just so it's not all solid shapes. So we have this smoke, wind, swoosh kind of element here. So I'm going to add a stroke to this and maybe do like 2 pixels for now. And I'm going to turn the fill all the way down. And I'm going to put this on top of some things, maybe over Raze a little bit just to get some more of that layering. I think that's pretty cool. So I think just like with anything in design, it's about balance. It's about kind of seeing what's missing or what there's too much of. A lot of times designing is truly just doing too much and then learning what to take away over time. And I'm going to see if I can kind of mask some of these 2D effects around Raze as well, just so she's not directly in front of it, but kind of interwoven into the environment a little bit. So I think down here is a good opportunity to kind of have some of this going over her leg here. I'm going to control actually before I do anything. I want to add a mask to Raze and then add a mask to the effects that I'm going to kind of mask out a little bit. So I'm going to control click on the explosion effect, and then on Raze's layer, I'll get a brush. I'll do 100% hardness, fairly small, making sure it's on black and just kind of masking out over there. Now it's kind of hard to tell with all the stuff going on right now, but I can just kind of mask a little bit and just see if it's working or not. I'm going to see if I can kind of mask some of the stuff around Raze with her typography as well. So I'm going to see if I can make this smoke in the background here a little darker just to give a little more contrast with the yellows and oranges going on. And you can kind of see like with that spray paint gradient we have going on, it kind of shows like hints of black, almost like an unintentional gradient. So luckily that's something that I don't personally have to add in, but the texture kind of will. So another big plus for textures is that they can kind of provide a lot of happy accidents for you that you don't really have to set out for yourself. And here, I think I'm also going to add another stroke effect element thing, just so the one in the front's not the only one. So I think some of these, like shards, kind of coming off of the explosion could be nice. So I'm going to copy this, and same thing with the other one. I'm going to add a stroke with 2 pixels, and then turn down the fill, and then turn off the color overlay as well. But I'm just going to mask out kind of this main explosion and like the really large shards here, just so that's not too distracting or anything. And the cool thing about using the stroke effect too, if you mask something out, it'll kind of just regenerate that stroke wherever you're masking things out. So you can ultimately kind of just recreate some of these effects however you want. And ladies and gentlemen, I think she is about done. This is definitely a very wild one. I knew it was going to be wild before even getting into this, just because Raze and her character is so badass and so wild. So I definitely wanted to kind of try some different things with this one. So thank you guys for watching. I hope this was helpful or just entertaining or just cool to watch or whatever. Definitely check out the Omen one, the first Valorant Styleframe kind of walkthrough that I did. Feel free to check out the 2D effects asset pack that I have in my store. I've been using these for all of the Valorant Styleframes so far. They're super easy to use. They're vector. You can turn them into whatever you want. And let me know in the comments what agent we should do next. I've gotten votes for Neon, but let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys again for watching, and I will see you next time.